Commander Ethan Cross had seen battles before, but nothing like this. The stars outside his escape pod looked cold and endless, while the smoke inside smelled of burned circuits. His ship was gone. His crew was gone. The battle with the alien fleet had scattered everything he knew into ashes. Now all that remained was him, drifting through the void, waiting for either rescue or death. A sudden vibration shook the pod. The small control panel flashed red. Ethan frowned. He thought it was another system failure, but then he noticed the shadows outside the viewport. Something enormous was moving across the stars. A warship. Its shape was sharp and elegant, unlike anything built by humans. Long silver spires stretched from its sides, glowing with strange blue energy. The escape pod rattled as a tractor beam caught it. Ethan grabbed the side rails, his jaw tightening. "Not good," he muttered. The pod was being pulled straight into the alien vessel. His training told him to prepare for capture. He checked his suit, fastened the chest seals, and took a deep breath. The hatch opened with a hiss. A blinding white light filled the pod. Shadows moved, tall and armored figures stepping inside. Their armor was smooth, their helmets shaped like the heads of insects. They carried long spears that hummed with energy. Ethan raised his hands slowly. "I surrender." The aliens didn't speak, but their movements were precise. They seized him by the arms, their strength far beyond human. Without a word, they dragged him through shining halls. The walls glowed faintly, pulsing like veins in a living creature. Ethan's mind raced. He expected to be taken to a cell, maybe questioned, maybe executed. But instead, the guards marched him deeper into the heart of the ship. Every corridor was wide and high, as if built for beings larger than humans. Strange banners hung from the ceilings, embroidered with a sigil of a golden crown surrounded by stars. Finally, massive doors slid open. The guards pushed him forward. Ethan froze. The room was vast, lit by floating crystals. At its center sat a throne made of silver and black stone. Upon that throne sat her, the queen. Her skin was pale, almost luminous, and her eyes glowed with faint violet light. A crown rested on her head, thin and elegant, shaped like the wings of a bird. Her gown shimmered as if woven from liquid starlight. She was alien, yes, but also striking in a way Ethan had not expected. The guards pushed him to his knees. He tried to stand again, but one slammed a spear into the ground beside him, humming with warning. The queen rose. Her voice was soft, but carried through the entire chamber. So, the prophecy was true. Ethan blinked. "Excuse me?" She stepped closer, studying him as though he were some rare artifact. Her violet eyes scanned him from head to toe. "A warrior from beyond, the veil of stars arriving broken yet unyielding. You are the one foretold." Ethan frowned. "I think you've got the wrong guy. I'm just a soldier who got shot down, nothing special." The queen tilted her head. "You belong to me now." That made him laugh nervously. "What?" "You heard me," she said. "I am Queen Seraphina, of the Zirath Dominion. Our seers saw your coming. They spoke of a mate from another world, one strong enough to share my throne, one clever enough to guard my people. That mate is you." Ethan stared at her. The silence in the hall felt heavy. "Hold on, did you just say mate?" The queen's lips curved into the smallest smile. "Yes. You will be my consort, my husband." Ethan's mouth fell open. He looked around, half expecting it to be some twisted joke. The guards did not move. The nobles standing along the sides of the hall only bowed deeper. "You've got to be kidding me," he muttered. "Lady, I don't even know you. I don't know your people. I'm not signing up for this." The queen's expression hardened. "You think you have a choice?" He clenched his fists. "I'm not property." For a long moment, Seraphina studied him, as if weighing his defiance. Then she raised her hand and the guard stepped back. "Good," she said. "You resist. That means you are not weak. But understand this, human. You are under my protection now. No one will harm you. No one will command you. Except me." Ethan swallowed hard. He didn't like this. He didn't like the way everyone in the hall obeyed her word without hesitation. He didn't like being treated like some pawn in a prophecy. But he also knew the truth. He was alone, stranded in enemy territory, and this queen was the only thing standing between him and execution. "What if I refuse?" he asked quietly. Her eyes glowed brighter. "Then I will keep you until you change your mind." The hall echoed with silence again. Ethan felt the weight of every gaze pressing down on him. He had fought in wars, faced death, and seen comrades fall. But this was different. This was not about survival. It was about being claimed. The queen turned, returning to her throne. She sat gracefully, her gown shimmering under the crystal light. "Take him to the guest chambers. He will be treated as consort, though he has not yet accepted. Feed him. Dress him. Tomorrow I will speak with him again." The guards bowed. Ethan shook his head in disbelief as they dragged him away. He muttered under his breath, "First I lose my ship, then I get captured by aliens, and now some queen thinks I'm her husband. This day just keeps getting better." But even as he tried to laugh at the madness, he felt a chill in his chest. He had no idea what he had been pulled into, but he knew one thing for sure. The queen wasn't joking, and she wasn't going to let him go. The chamber they placed Ethan in was nothing like a prison. The walls glowed softly with blue crystal light, the air smelled faintly of flowers, and the bed was larger than any he had ever seen. Food was already waiting on a silver tray, fruits that shimmered like gems, bread that looked fresh, and a drink glowing faint green. Ethan sat on the edge of the bed staring at it all. "So I'm not a prisoner, I'm a guest?" he muttered. But the guards outside the door reminded him that guest was only a polite word. He was still trapped. He didn't eat right away. His mind was racing. Back on Earth, he had been a soldier. His duty was clear: fight, protect, survive. But now, an alien queen claimed he was her destined mate. That wasn't in any training manual. After hours of restless pacing, the doors opened. She entered. Queen Serafina walked into the room with the grace of someone who knew every eye belonged to her. Two attendants followed but kept their distance. Ethan stood folding his arms. "You look restless," she said, her voice calm. "Wouldn't you be? You tell a stranger he belongs to you and then lock him in a glowing bedroom." Her lips curved slightly. "You are not locked away. You are
kept safe."
"Safe?" Ethan scoffed. "I call it a cage, Your Majesty." She studied him with those violet eyes, sharp and unyielding. "A cage made of silk is still protection. I did not order chains for you, human. I ordered comfort. That should tell you something." Ethan shook his head. "It tells me you're trying to make me forget I don't have a choice here." For a moment, silence stretched between them. Then Serafina stepped closer. Her gown shimmered like starlight brushing against the floor. "I will not hide my intent," she said. "Yes, I claim you. But not as a prisoner. I claim you as my consort. You would stand beside me, not beneath me. Do you understand the difference?" Ethan frowned. "You mean you're asking me to be your husband?" "I am not asking," she said firmly. "I am offering. You would have wealth, respect, and power, and you would share my throne." He laughed bitterly. "Power? Respect? I'm a soldier. I don't want a throne. I just want my freedom." Her eyes softened slightly, but her voice stayed strong. "Freedom is an illusion, human. Even I, a queen, am not free. I serve my people, my empire, my crown, but I do so with strength and I do not bend to others. With me, you could learn the same." Ethan turned away, running a hand through his hair. "Why me? You've got an empire full of warriors. Why chase a human who doesn't even belong here?" Serafina walked closer until she stood just a step behind him. "Because they are not you. My people are strong, yes, but too proud, too blinded by their own traditions. You are different. You fight with cunning, not just strength. You resist even when hopeless. That is what drew me." Ethan spun to face her. "So what? I'm some prophecy toy for your court? Her gaze met his without flinching. Not a toy, a choice. I turned, away many suitors. I could crush any who displease me, but you, I cannot ignore. You may not believe in destiny, but I do. And destiny brought you here. Ethan fell silent. He wanted to argue, to call it madness, but something in her voice made him pause. She truly believed this. It wasn't an act. Finally, he said, "Even if I agreed, your people would never accept me. I'm not one of you." She tilted her head. "That is why I need you. To prove them wrong. To show them strength comes in many forms." Before he could reply, one of her attendants stepped forward with a datapad. Serafina glanced at it, then back at Ethan. "My council will meet soon. I wish for you to attend." Ethan raised a brow. "Your council? You want me to sit in a room full of aliens who already hate me?" Her lips curved in the faintest smile. "Yes. Let them see you with their queen. Let them see you not as prisoner, but as chosen." He let out a sharp breath. "You're playing a dangerous game. They might want me dead." "I will not let them harm you," she said. Her tone carried no doubt, no hesitation. "Stand beside me, and you will be untouchable." Ethan studied her for a long moment. She wasn't joking. She wasn't bluffing. She truly intended to place him at her side in front of her entire court. The next morning, the sunlight of distant stars filtered through the massive windows of the council chamber. Ethan's stomach twisted with nerves. He had expected the alien court to be intimidating, but nothing prepared him for the sheer size of the room. The chamber was enormous, with soaring ceilings and banners hanging from all sides. Each banner bore the golden crown of the Zareth Dominion. Hundreds of nobles, generals, and advisors filled the seats, their alien forms strange and sharp, yet regal in appearance. At the center, elevated above the rest, sat Queen Serafina. Her violet eyes scanned the room, and for a moment, Ethan felt both awe and fear. She was calm, confident, and every gaze in the room seemed drawn to her alone. Ethan was led to a seat beside her. His human legs felt small on the platform, dwarfed by alien architecture. The murmur of the court grew louder as whispers spread. An outsider, a human, claimed as mate by the queen. Some stared in curiosity. Others glared with thinly veiled anger. The first to rise was Lord Vile, a tall, spiny alien with eyes as sharp as knives. He was one of Serafina's oldest advisors and widely respected as a brilliant strategist. Yet, from the moment he noticed Ethan, his expression darkened. "Your Majesty," Vile began, his voice loud and cold. "May I speak?" Serafina nodded, her expression unreadable. "You may." Vile's gaze shifted to Ethan. "This human, you claim him as your consort?" Ethan shifted in his seat. He had not expected this. The queen had warned him of court politics, but now he felt the full weight of it. "Yes," Serafina said firmly. "He is chosen." Vile's antennae twitched. "Chosen? By prophecy? We have served the Dominion for centuries. We have trained our warriors, strengthened our bloodlines. And now a human, a stranger from another world, stands above us in your favor?" The murmur in the room grew. Many nobles whispered their agreement with Vale. Ethan could feel the tension pressing on him like a physical weight. He opened his mouth, but Serafina's calm hand on his shoulder stopped him. "Let him speak," she said. Ethan took a deep breath. "I don't come here to take anyone's place. I don't want your throne or your power. I'm just trying to survive. But I can help if you'll let me. I know strategy, tactics, and ways to see things differently. That's all I bring. Nothing more, nothing less." Vile snorted. "Survive? You are not of this world. You barely understand our ways. How can you claim to help a dominion that you know nothing about?" Ethan's jaw tightened. He wasn't used to being doubted, but he forced himself to remain calm. "I've seen countless battles, human and alien alike. I've fought against overwhelming odds. Maybe I see things differently, But different doesn't mean wrong. A few of the younger nobles exchanged glances. They were curious. Perhaps they thought the human could be useful, but Viel's influence was strong, and his scorn was nearly enough to sway the majority. Queen Seraphina stood. The room fell silent instantly. She walked slowly to the edge of the platform, her gaze sweeping the council. "You have served me well for many years," she said, her voice steady, "and I respect your counsel. But today, we face a new challenge. A challenge that requires strength, vision, and courage, qualities not limited to Zerath bloodlines." Vale's mouth opened, but she raised a hand, stopping him. "This human," she said, turning toward Ethan, "is not here to replace you. He is here to help, to offer insight from another world. He has faced trials no Zerath has faced. He has survived alone in the void, and yet he stands before me alive and unbroken. That is why he is chosen." Ethan swallowed hard. He wasn't used to praise, especially from someone like the Queen. But he forced himself to stay silent. Actions would speak louder than words. Vale's antennae drooped slightly, but he recovered quickly. "And if he fails? If this human's counsel leads to disaster, who bears the blame?" Seraphina's violet eyes burned into him. "Then we learn. We adapt. But we will not reject strength simply because it is unfamiliar. You will see his value, or you will see your pride brought low by your own limitations." The room was tense. Some nobles whispered nervously. Others shifted in their seats, uncomfortable with the Queen's challenge to tradition. Ethan realized how delicate this situation was. One wrong move, one poorly worded sentence, and he could become a target. Not just of Vale, but of the entire. Minutes passed in silence. Finally, Viel spoke again, this time quieter, almost grudging. "Very well. We shall see if the human can prove his worth. But mark my words, Your Majesty, the court will not accept him easily." Seraphina nodded. "I expect nothing less. Let him stand by me, and let his actions show his worth. That is all that matters." Ethan exhaled slowly. He could feel the eyes of hundreds of aliens on him. He could feel their suspicion, their hostility, and even their curiosity. It was a different kind of battlefield, one without guns or energy weapons, but just as deadly if he misstepped. The council meeting ended. Shortly after, Ethan was led back to his chambers, exhausted but alert. His mind raced with strategies, how to survive, how to prove himself, and how to navigate this alien society. When he returned to his room, Seraphina was waiting. She had already removed her ceremonial robes and now wore a simpler gown, less imposing but still regal. She smiled faintly at him. "You did well today," she said softly. Ethan raised a brow. "Well, I spent the whole time getting stared down by aliens who probably want to kill me." "Perhaps," she said, sitting on the edge of a chair near him. "But you spoke with honesty. You stood your ground without disrespect. That is not weakness, it is strength." He shook his head. "I still feel like a pawn, and don't think I've forgotten I didn't choose to be here." Seraphina studied him carefully. "No, you did not. Yet you remain. That choice, even without full freedom, matters. You could have given up, fled, or succumbed to fear. You did not. That is why you are alive. That is why I chose you." Ethan's lips pressed into a thin line. He did not feel chosen. He felt trapped. Yet beneath his fear, a flicker of pride sparked. Somehow he had survived the first day. Somehow he had made an impression. The Queen rose and moved to the window. She looked out at the stars, her expression distant. "Tomorrow, the council will test you further. They will ask questions, challenge your judgment, and try to push you into mistakes. You must remain calm and think clearly. The court is a battlefield, as dangerous as any in space." Ethan nodded slowly. "I'll do my best. I don't know if that's enough, but I'll try." Seraphina turned, her gaze softening. "Your best is enough, human. For now." Ethan lay on the bed that night, staring at the crystal lights above. He had survived the first real test, standing before the Queen's court, but he knew it was only the beginning. The Council's hostility, the Queen's impossible expectations, and his own fear would test him every day. And yet, somewhere, deep in him, a spark of curiosity grew. This Queen, so commanding, so confident, had chosen him. Why? He did not yet. The next morning, Ethan was summoned to the central courtyard of the Zerath Palace. The sky above was a swirl of alien colors, green and violet streaks shining through the atmosphere of their planet. Hundreds of Zerath citizens, nobles, and guards gathered to watch. At the center, a platform rose, engraved with the ancient symbols of the Zerath Dominion. Queen Seraphina stood at the platform's edge, her violet eyes focused on him. She did not speak at first, but her presence alone demanded attention. Ethan straightened, adjusting the human uniform he had worn since his capture. Today would be the first real test of his place beside her. "You will undergo the trial of mateship," Seraphina finally announced. Her voice echoed across the courtyard. "It is an ancient tradition. Those who pass earn the right to stand beside the Queen. Those who fail, do not." Ethan felt his stomach tighten. He had expected challenges in the court, but this was something entirely different. Seraphina continued. "The trial has 3 parts: combat, intellect, and loyalty. Each part tests a different quality. Only by excelling in all 3 will you prove your worth." Ethan nodded. "I understand. Let's get started." A hush fell over the crowd. Then the first challenge began. The combat trial was set in a vast arena. Robotic training drones hovered above, their energy shields glowing. Ethan faced 4 Zerath warriors, each taller and stronger than he had imagined. They moved in perfect synchronization, testing him immediately. Ethan's human training took over. He dodged the first strike, rolled under the second, and used his smaller size to his advantage, slipping between them to strike weak points. He used agility and timing rather than brute strength, surprising the Zerath warriors. The crowd murmured. Even Seraphina's expression betrayed a hint of approval. After several minutes, the last warrior fell and Ethan stood, breathing hard but victorious. "You adapt quickly," Seraphina said, her voice carrying across the arena. "Good. That is the first step." Ethan barely had time to recover before the second trial began. A Zerath scholar approached with a floating puzzle, symbols spinning in midair. The intellect challenge tested his mind, demanding logic, creativity, and problem-solving under pressure. Ethan studied the symbols carefully. Humans often solved problems differently than the Zerath. He noticed patterns the scholars had overlooked, predicting the sequence needed to unlock the puzzle. With steady hands, he completed it. The symbols glowed brightly, signaling his success. Matter the cost. Ethan had barely settled into his chambers after the trial of mateship when the alarms blared. The walls of the Zerath Palace vibrated with energy as the warning lights flashed red. He ran to the window and saw it, hundreds of alien warships, black and jagged, moving toward the capital. The Xylar Dominion, longtime rivals of the Zerath, had launched a sudden and overwhelming attack. Entire fleets filled the sky, their weapons glowing ominously. Panic spread among the citizens, and the court scrambled to coordinate defenses. Queen Seraphina moved quickly to the command center, her violet eyes blazing with determination. Ethan followed, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. This was no simulation, no trial. Lives hung in the balance. "My advisors suggest retreat," said one of the generals, his spines bristling with fear. "The Xylar fleet is too strong. We cannot hold the city." Seraphina shook her head. "Retreat is not an option. This city is the heart of the Dominion. If it falls, everything falls." She looked at Ethan. "Your thoughts, human?" Ethan's mind raced. On Earth, he had faced impossible odds many times. He knew that brute strength alone could not win this battle. "We can't fight them head-on. We need to divide their attention, use misdirection, make them think we are weaker than we are, then strike at their vulnerabilities." The generals muttered among themselves. One of them, Lord Vale, stepped forward reluctantly. "And what would you propose, human?" Ethan took a deep breath. "We split our fleet. A smaller force will lure part of their fleet into an ambush. We use speed, maneuverability, and coordinated strikes. Their largest ships will be isolated. We hit their command ship directly, and the rest will panic." Serafina studied him closely. "It is risky. If you fail—" "I won't fail," Ethan said firmly. "We have to try." Serafina's expression softened just slightly. "Very well. You will lead the strike force." Ethan swallowed. He was no longer a guest or a prisoner. He was a commander in an alien war, responsible for countless lives. The fleet launched into the void. Ethan's small strike force, faster and more agile than the bulkier Zirath ships, moved ahead to engage the Xylar. The battle began with a roar of energy weapons and the flash of explosions. Ethan ducked behind asteroids, using the terrain to shield his ships. He coordinated strikes with precision, hitting enemy supply ships and decoy targets. Despite the chaos, Ethan remained calm. Years of training kicked in, Earth tactics applied to alien technology. His team followed every maneuver perfectly, inspired by his courage and clarity. Meanwhile, Serafina led the main fleet, using his strategies to position her ships defensively. She had trusted him fully, even in this moment of crisis. Her confidence gave Ethan strength. The critical moment came when the Xylar command ship appeared, enormous and heavily armed. Ethan guided his fleet through a narrow asteroid field, masking their approach. Then, with a signal from him, the Zirath ships attacked from multiple directions simultaneously. Energy beams tore through the enemy hull and explosions lit the void like fireworks. Vale watched from the command bridge, astonished. "I did not think the human had it in him," he muttered under his breath. Ethan didn't stop. He maneuvered through the enemy's defenses, using every tactic he knew. His human instincts, honed from years of survival and battle, gave him an advantage the Xylar did not expect. Finally, he reached the command ship. With a precise strike at its core reactor, he caused a chain reaction. The massive ship exploded in a brilliant flash, and the rest of the Xylar fleet faltered, unsure of what to do next. Serafina's main fleet pressed the advantage. The remaining enemy ships scattered, retreating in chaos. The city below remained safe, and the people of the Zirath cheered, their voices filling the air with relief and joy. Ethan's body ached, his suit scratched and scorched from the energy. Blasts, but he stood tall. He had led alien warriors into battle, survived impossible odds, and succeeded. For the first time, he truly felt a bond with Serafina and her people. When the fleet returned to the capital, the Queen met him at the landing platform. Her gown was dusted with ash, her expression proud. "You did it," she said simply. Ethan shook his head. "We did it. Your people fought bravely. I just helped direct them." She placed a hand on his shoulder, her violet eyes meeting his. "No, human. You led. Without you, we would have lost. You have proven not just your skill, but your loyalty. Today you have earned more than trust. You have earned respect." Ethan felt a strange warmth in his chest. It was not just pride or relief, but a deep sense of belonging. He had come from a distant world, an outsider, and yet here he was, standing beside a queen, having changed the course of history. Lord Vile approached slowly, his face solemn, but respectful. "Your Majesty, the human strategy saved us. I misjudged him. It seems we have much to learn from him." Serafina nodded. "Indeed, strength is not always found in tradition alone. Sometimes it comes from unexpected places." Ethan allowed himself a small smile. He still missed Earth, and he still wondered what lay ahead. But for the first time, he felt that he belonged here. The Queen had trusted him, the people had followed him, and together they had overcome a threat that seemed impossible. As the sun set over the Zirath capital, painting the sky in deep violet and gold, Ethan looked at Serafina. She stood tall, regal, and unshaken. He realized something profound. This queen was more than a ruler. She was a leader who could see potential where others saw weakness. And he, a human from a distant planet, had earned his place beside her. For the first time, Ethan understood the weight of destiny, not prophecy but choice. He had chosen to fight, to act, and to trust. And in doing so, he had changed the future of an entire empire. Serafina turned to him, her voice soft but commanding. "Rest now, human. Tomorrow the council will meet again. But tonight, we celebrate victory and the bond that made it possible." Ethan nodded, exhaustion and satisfaction washing over him. The battle was won, but he knew there would always be new challenges. Still, for the first time in his life, he felt not fear, but purpose. He had survived the invasion, and he had proven himself. And now, the future of the Zirath Dominion, and perhaps the galaxy, was tied to him. The battle was over. The Xylar fleet had been defeated, their ships scattered across the void. The Zirath capital gleamed under the light of its twin suns, a symbol of resilience and victory. Ethan stood at the palace balcony, gazing at the city below. The air was calm now, but he could still feel the adrenaline lingering in his veins. Queen Serafina approached quietly. She did not speak at first, simply standing beside him. Her violet eyes reflected the golden light, thoughtful and distant. "Ethan," she said finally, her voice soft. "The court is settled. My people rejoice. And yet, you seem restless." Ethan ran a hand through his hair. "I fought battles I never thought I could survive. I faced politics, tests, and alien warriors. I've earned your trust, but I still don't belong here. I'm from another world. I don't know if I can truly be what you want me to be." Serafina turned to face him fully, her expression calm but firm. "You have already proven yourself, human. You are more than what you think. You have shown courage, loyalty, and wisdom. You have changed the outcome of this war. And yet, I sense your uncertainty. That is natural." Ethan took a deep breath. "So, what now? You've claimed me. I've stood beside you. I've survived the trials, and now I have to choose?" Serafina nodded. "Yes, you may return to your home planet, free and honored, or you may stay and stand beside me as my consort, as the human who helped shape the destiny of the Zirath Dominion." Ethan felt a strange heaviness in his chest. He missed Earth, the simplicity of his old life, the people he had known. But he also felt something unfamiliar. Connection, purpose, and even a sense of belonging he had never felt before. He looked at Serafina. She was regal, commanding, and yet, in moments like this, almost human in her vulnerability. She had trusted him completely, relied on him in battle, and believed in him when no one else did. That trust was powerful. "I don't know if I'm ready," he admitted. "I've never been a king, a consort, or anything like that. I'm just a soldier from a distant world." Serafina smiled faintly. "Neither was I ready to lead when I first took the throne. Yet we rise to meet the challenges we face. You have already proven that you are capable more than you know. Your choices brought victory. Your courage saved countless lives. That is why you are worthy." Ethan exhaled slowly. He thought of the trials, the council, the battle against the Xylar fleet. He remembered every moment of doubt, fear, and determination, and he realized something important. He had already chosen this path even if he did not admit it. By staying, by fighting, by trusting the Queen, he had already become part of her world. I will stay," he said at last. The words felt strange but right. "Not because of prophecy, not because anyone tells me to, but because I want to. I want to stand with you and help your people. I want to make a difference." Serafina's violet eyes softened, and a rare, genuine smile appeared. "Then it is settled. You will be my consort, the human who stood against impossible odds, the partner who helped shape the future." Ethan felt a warmth in his chest he had never known. It was not pride alone, but a sense of purpose and belonging. He was no longer just a visitor or an outsider. He was part of something larger than himself. A forced the destiny of an enti.